Environmental variables impact of the physical world. Do we become more irritable and aggressive when the weather is hot and steamy than when it is cooler and more comfortable? Does exposure to pleasant smell in the air make people more helpful to others? Does simply seeing money, such as picture of dollar bill, interfere with our ability to enjoy small pleasure in life like the taste of chocolate? Research findings indicate that aspects of the physical environment can indeed influence our feelings, thoughts, and behavior. So, these variables too certainly fall within the realm of modern psychology, modern social psychology. Biological factors in social behavior influenced by biological is the social behavior influenced by biological processes. In the past, most social psychologists might have answered no, and certainly not in any direct fashion. Now, however, some suggest that our preferences, emotions, and behaviors may be linked to some extent to our biological inheritance. Although social experiences too have a powerful effect and may interact with genetic factors in generating the complex patterns of our social lives. In fact, it is becoming clear that the operation of these two factors, biology and social experience, is not unidirectional. Experiences of stress, especially early in life but also in adulthood, as a function of exposure to various forms of trauma, including political violence, can induce neurobiological changes that affect psychological well being. Indeed, there is now accumulating evidence that environmental factors and social experiences through what is called epigenetic processes, where the operation of certain genes is turned on or off, can influence behavior sometimes long after initial exposure. Spector 2012. The view that biological factors play an important role in social behaviors has been emphasized among those who take an evolutionary psychology perspective. This branch of psychology suggests that our species, like all others, has been subject to the process of biological evolution throughout its history, and that as a result, we know now possess a large number of evolved psychological mechanisms that help or once helped us to deal with the important problems relating to survival. Through the process of evolution, which involves the three basic components of variation, inheritance, and selection, such as tendencies become part of our biological inheritance. Variation refers to the fact that organisms belonging to a given species vary in many different ways. Indeed, such variation is a basic part of life on our planet. Human beings, as you already know, vary on what sometimes seems to be an almost countless number of dimensions. Inheritance refers to the fact that some of these variations can be passed from one generation to the next through complex mechanisms that we are beginning to understand only now. Selection refers to the fact that some variations give the individuals who possesses them an edge in terms of reproduction. They are more likely to survive, find mates, and pass these variations on to succeeding generations. The result is that over time, more and more members of the species possesses these variations. This change in the characteristics of a species over time, immensely long period of time, is the concrete outcome of evolution. Social psychologists who adopt the evolutionary perspective suggest that this process applies to at least some aspects of social behavior. For instance, consider the question of mate preference. Mate preference. Why do we find some people attractive according to the evolutionary perspective? Because the characteristics they show, symmetrical facial features, well toned, shapely bodies, clear skin, lustrous hair, are associated with good genes. They are likely to indicate that the people who possesses them are healthy and vigorous and therefore good mates. For instance, these characteristics, the ones we find attractive, potentially indicate that the persons who show them have strong immune system that protect them from many illness. Presumably, a preference for characteristics associated with good health and vigor among our ancestors increased their chances of successfully reproducing. This in turn could have contributed to our preference for people who possesses these aspects of appearance. Is there any reason to suppose that evolution might favor different behaviors for men and women when asked to indicate the characteristics in potential roommate partners that they find desirable? Both genders, but especially women, rate a sense of humor high on list. From evolutionary point of view, a sense of humor might signal high intelligence, which would make humorous people attractive. Another possibility is that a sense of humor signals something else. Interest in forming new relationships. Humor might signal that the person is available and interested. Research by Lee and colleagues 2009 found that people are more likely to use humor and laugh when they find another person attractive than when they do not. People who used humor during speed dating sessions were perceived as shown more romantic interest than ones who did not. Other topics have been studied from the evolutionary perspectives. Example, helping others, aggression, preference for various ways of attracting persons who are already in relationship. And we will describe this research in other chapters. Here we wish to emphasize the following fact. The evolutionary perspective does not suggest that we inherit specific patterns of social behavior. Rather, it contends that we inherit tendencies or predispositions that may be apparent in our overt actions, depending on the environment in which we live. Similarly, this perspective does not suggest that we are forced or driven by our genes to act in a specific ways. Rather, it merely suggests that because of our genetic inheritance, we have tendencies to behave in certain ways that, at least in the past, may have enhanced the chances that our ancestors would survive and pass their genes on to us. These tendencies can be and often are overridden by cognitive factors and effects of experience. For instance, what is viewed as attractive changes over time and is often very different in diverse cultures. So, yes, genetic factors play some role in our behavior and thought, but they are clearly only one factor among many that influence how we think and act. 1.1.4 The search for basic principles in a changing social world. One key goal of science is the development of basic principles that are accurate regardless of when or where they are applied or tested. Social psychology seeks to uncover the basic principles that govern social life. For instance, they did like to determine what factors influence attraction, helping obedience, the attitudes we form, and so on. The research they conduct is aimed to yield such knowledge, basic principles that will be true across time and in different cultures. On the other hand, social psychologists recognize that cultures differ greatly and that the social world in which we live is constantly changing in very important ways. For instance, cultures vary greatly with respect to when and where people are expected to dress up rather than dress casually. While casual is acceptable in almost all contexts in the United States, more formal dressy attire is often expected in other cultures. This same point applies to more important aspects of social life too. Should teenagers be allowed to date and meet without adult supervision? Should you name your baby after a relative or should you give your child a unique and perhaps unusual name? At what age should people retire and how should they be treated after they do? Should we make choices that are the same as other people we know or should we try to be different and stand out from others? Cultures differ tremendously in these and countless other ways. This complicates the task of establishing general principles of social behavior and social thought. Should we try to compliment another person to make him or her like us? This is an ingratiation tactic. Ingratiation tactic that, as you will see in chapter 8, has been found to be generally effective in individualistic cultures. Yet, research has revealed that people, be- people from some cultures value independence, being seen as a unique and separate from others, while others value interdependence, being seen as similar to and connected to others. Responses to such seemingly positive treatment depends on whether it implies the person is different or the same as the other members of his or her group. So, for example, those who are Asian born respond more negatively to treatment that implies they are different from other group members, whereas those who are US born respond more negatively to treatment that implies they are the same as other group members. In addition, within culture, how we interact with each other can change across time because of social media and digital technology. More generally, people now meet potential romantic partners in different ways than in the past, when typically they were introduced by friends or mate at dances arranged by their schools, churches, or other social organizations. Does this mean that foundations of attraction are different today than in the past? Social psychologists believe that despite these changes, the same basic principle apply. Physical attractiveness is still a basic ingredient, even though what is deemed attractive may differ across time. Likewise, the basic principles of persuasion to remain much the same, even if messages aimed at influencing us are delivered in different format than in the past. In short, although the task of identifying basic accurate principles of social behavior and social thought is complicated by the existence of cultural differences and rapid changes in social life, the goals of social psychological research remain the same, uncovering basic accurate knowledge about the social side of life that implies in a wide range of contexts and situations. In summary, social psychology focuses mainly on understanding the causes of social behavior, on identifying factors that shape our feelings, behavior, and thought in social situations. It seeks to accomplish this goal through the use of scientific methods, and it takes careful note of the fact that social behavior is influenced by a wide range of social, cognitive, environmental, cultural, and biological factors. The remainder of this text is devoted to describing some of the key findings of social psychology. We are certain that you will find it fascinating. After all, it is about us and the social side of our lives. We are equally sure that you will find the outcomes of social research surprising, and it may challenge many of your ideas about people and social relations. We predict that after reading this book, you will never think about the social side of life in quite the same way as before.